Is having no friends a sign that you are flawed or insignificant? That somehow you lack charisma, personality, or charm compared to social butterflies surrounded by adoring fans? It can feel that way, but the ancient Stoic philosophers would urge us to pause our pity party. According to their counterintuitive wisdom, a shortage of friends does not necessarily indicate personal defects or unworthiness. In fact, they believed solitude reveals character with crystal clarity. Stripped of constant company, we confront ourselves plainly, with nowhere to hide from inner truth. Our deepest patterns become starkly exposed for self-study without the noise of chit-chat and events to distract us. Time alone forces self-reckoning, often uncomfortably so, but also fruitfully. For then, we can joyfully cultivate virtues otherwise crowded out by shallow socializing like patience, insight, and integrity. We nourish motivation centered on being our best selves, not desperation for being befriended. So, next Friday night when you sit friendless again watching Netflix, recognize the hand of fortune. The lonely path can teach more about living well than 1,000 aimless parties full of strangers. Use solitude as the sages did, not for spiraling in self-pity, but for manifesting self-mastery. Instead, face yourself fully and uncover strengths, weaknesses, and potentials you barely tasted until now. Now become whole without needing company, for then you are ready to unlock everlasting companionship of the most meaningful kinsalful friendship, born from two beings steady in their own light. Consider isolation the door to awakening. Step through boldly. Lesson 1. Don't assume you need many friends. A few good ones are enough. It's easy to fall into the trap of measuring our worth by the number of friends we have. Social media shows us images of acquaintances laughing at parties or luncheons, making us feel inadequate if our own calendar is empty. But the Stoics flipped the script. Quality connections matter far more than quantity. As the philosopher Seneca wisely stated, be wary of the man who urges you to meet more people. Building real intimacy with even one loyal confidant nourishes the soul greater than 100 disengaged chats at a crowded reception. True friendship is incredibly rare, the highest boon. It develops slowly through moments of deep vulnerability, laughter, and tears. Casual companions come and go, but to unlock our hearts without hesitation to another is life's profound gift. If fortune grants this once, we are blessed beyond measure. So shed expectations of friend quotas. Nurture the bonds that inspire you to grow into your best and bravest self. If someone truly sees and supports your spirit, they are friend enough. For any Stoic, Lesson 2. Look inward first. If lacking friends, how can you improve conduct? It's easy to blame others or feel sorry for ourselves when we lack friends. But the Stoics take a different approach. They look in the mirror before critiquing those who spurn us. They courageously critique their own conduct first. Consider what true friendship requires from both sides. To earn affection, we must extend it with generosity, empathy, and virtue. Do you lift up your companions, forgive minor slights, show up in times of need? See beyond surface traits to honor each person's highest potentials. True friendship is no casual sport. It necessitates grit, sacrifice, and maturity. To nurture the supreme gift, if you find your connections lacking, closely examine your own patterns. Do old wounds make you quick to mistrust? Have you developed bitterness rather than compassion for human fallibility? Are you too fearful or prideful to reach out anew? Any barrier between us and others is first a barrier within ourselves. Growth begins from radical self-honesty. The Stoic prescription for those who walk alone is not to blame exteriors, but to courageously change interiors. Rectify your judgments before approaching society. And through consistent acts of service, goodwill, and courage, the right friends will arrive in time. For water finds its own level. Lesson 3. Use solitude for self-growth, not loneliness. Solitude gets a bad rap in modern times. We view time alone as terrifying rather than therapeutic, quickly flicking on screens to escape confronting ourselves. But the Stoics saw profound opportunity in moments without outward company. When we learn to companion ourselves, magical alchemy occurs. Silence makes space to hear our deepest yearnings, no longer drowned out by other voices. We grow intimate with the contours of our mind. Without the gaze of others, we drop our masks, no longer dancing for approval or hiding shadows. Like a snake molting, We shed pretense and emerge naked yet unashamed. This liberates us to revise what no longer serves our higher purpose, to boldly erase false narratives. Plant promising seeds, nurture budding talents untouched for years. We discover our own rich reservoirs that need no validating company, creativity, wisdom, wholeness innate within. And in time, we desire to share this new bread of self-union with other souls equally ripe to feast. For true friendship can only come of two who have long sat alone. Solitude is not empty if we bring our full self home. There we find the eternal friend that never leaves our side. Lesson 4. Few friends signal issues with virtues. Stoics emphasize justice, wisdom, self-control, and before you shrug this off, consider why it matters in your own life. Regardless of our social media followers, most of us have experienced loneliness at times. We've questioned if we're dislikable or uncool when nobody wants to hang out on a Friday night. The Stoics would urge us to pause the self-pity party. Because their counterintuitive wisdom has a shortage of friends reveals an opportunity to know yourself more deeply. If no one else is joining you for karaoke night, what inner strength must you cultivate in solitude? How do you stand tall in who you are with or without the crowds? A socially sluggish weekend invites you to confront your core values, to boldly ask, am I living justly, wisely, with self-control? Fewer friends clear space to manifest more self-mastery. And that, my friends, is the secret of true popularity, with or without the likes. Lesson 5. Stay engaged in society, even without friends. When lacking intimate bonds, it's tempting to withdraw entirely from society's fabric, to recoil from a world that seems callous, unfair, or indifferent to our deeper needs. But the Stoics urge us to resist that retaliation. Though we may not feel society's warmth personally, it still depends on our heat. Imagine if all disheartened souls reacted by icing out community and contribution. What a wintry world would remain. The whole suffers when one part isolates. Thus, the Stoics call us to rise beyond personal grievance, to infuse public spaces with the dignity, joy, and compassion we crave privately. Be the warmth that others may require. Tend faithfully to duties without expecting personal gain. Through selfless service, earn the reward of a just heart made glad. For true belonging begins not with beckoning others, but becoming the companion we seek. We magnetize tribe through the person we built, and soon discover society not so cold, having stoked its hearth with our own steady fire. The forgotten secret of acceptance is learning first to accept. Where can you gift that today? Lesson 6. Make the best of the connections you do have. It's easy to discount the value of connections if they don't meet our lofty ideals of friendship. To lament that no one gets us deeply enough or hangs out often enough. But the Stoics might challenge us here. How present and engaged are we with the links at hand? Rather than pining for closer companions, they would have us water the soil beneath our feet. To squeeze meaning from each passing conversation, encounter, dinner shared. What wisdom can we draw from odd personalities or unlikely demographics? Do we shine a light on others' gifts through generous listening? Have we mastered showing up fully even for brief interactions? Relationships only starve when we neglect to feed them, and there is always nourishing fare on offer if we learn the art of partaking. Can you mine mirth from moments of levity without forcing weighty topics? Show genuine care through small acts of service or loyalty. Find common ground from shared suffering or nostalgia. The human longing for connection cannot be quelled, but it can be gradually filled through microdoses of authentic relating. Pay attention, and approachable souls abound. Dare to turn casual contacts into familiar faces with care and time. It's remarkable what can bloom. We have but to meet this hour's garden, however humble, and tend its life with love. Lesson 7. Don't let fear of rejection stop you from making new bonds. Reaching out for friendship requires courage, for vulnerability brings the specter of rejection. To want companionship is to risk disappointment. A soul open may not be embraced, yet we close ourselves off further out of dread until a wall divides us from the very belonging we crave. The Stoics, however, urge us to dismantle our barricades, brick by brick. They recognize rejection's wounds cut deep, each aching in its own way. But no trial need leave us irrevocably scarred, unless we let fears calcify our hearts. With radical softness, we can pick ourselves up to try again, not with desperation or bitterness, but with empathy for the universal struggles binding humanity. For even popular socialites endure secret sadness behind shiny disguises. And those quick to spurn others often suffer from old pain that blossoms in truer connections. With gentleness and patience, many an icy barrier can melt in time. But first, one brave soul must withstand winter's bite to spark the thaw. Will you be that warm light this world needs? The Stoics would counsel that rewards outweigh risks in time. With compassion, persist, come what may. One day, meaningful bonds will arrive to greet your persevering flame. Lesson 8. Others may also struggle to make friends. Reach out when we lack companionship. It's easy to assume we alone wander the social wilderness, that everyone else effortlessly bonds in inner circles while we circle the periphery. But in truth, many walk quietly solo too, prideful or afraid to reveal their longing behind clever banter and busy calendars. A profound isolation affects more souls than we realize. The Stoics urge us to wake up to this reality, to let our pain connect us to the universal yearning for belonging brooding with inscared strangers. What if the next passerby is also adrift, similarly convinced no one else suffers like them? But were we to shine light on our common insecurity, all isolation would vanish in an instant through shared humanity. Making the first move requires courage when rejection looms, yet intent speaks as clearly as words. Thus, the Stoics might suggest small gestures, a gentle smile, a listening ear. A door held open for one rushing bitiny seeds of goodwill without agenda, freely cast so another might bloom in season. Just one bold soul awakening to oneness can transform how communities converge. Like petals gently unfolding, what appears divided merges into wholeness through compassion's quiet force. Go bravely bridge the gap and let some lost friend find you through your strength. Lesson 9. Most relations are circumstantial. Don't measure self-worth by them. It's tempting to judge our value by the quantity and quality of friends surrounding us, to glow under the spotlight of popularity or wilt when weekends pass friendless. But the Stoics caution us against hinging self-esteem upon something so external and conditional. For many connections depend profoundly on convenience, co-workers brought together by circumstance, old dorm mates scattered by new jobs, couples uncoupling as interests diverge. Even the deepest bonds wax and wane over life seasons, as loved ones leave town or grow distant. If our sense of self rides upon how often friends call us up, identity becomes a roller coaster, here one day, gone the next without warning. How can one build enduring self-trust if foundations shake with the whims of others? As Marcus Aurelius wisely warned, don't set your mind on things you don't possess. Of course, the Stoics cherished lasting bonds, enabling growth. But they derived confidence from mastering inner character rather than what outer chance may offer. Examine first who you become moment to moment, irrespective of applause or desertion. Only by knowing your deepest strengths and values can you build belonging that transcends any crowd's passing fancy. Base self on ethical substance, and joy springs eternal within. Let fair weather friends come and go. Your inner light stands solo. Lesson 10. If isolated for ethical reasons, take pride in principles. Sometimes we find ourselves excluded or abandoned for standing by our highest principles. In eras of rampant corruption and compromise, integrity becomes a lonely road. The crowds flock to easier but more hazardous paths. Yet the Stoics implore us to walk to all in word and deed, even if it means walking solo. For social exclusion is no insult when serving justice. Can one feel ashamed for speaking truth in tribes demanding silence? For sharing food where gluttony holds sway? For defending outcasts abandoned by cliques gripped by fear or hate? Where souls subsist on falsehood, facts become radical rebellion. In such times, integrity has its costs and solitude bitter pain. But compare this to the deeper wounds of moral compromise, our spirit shattering as we betray conscience to court approval. As Epictetus proclaimed, if made to choose between popularity or virtue, the true Stoic would cry, if only people understand that I am doing nothing wrong. But if they do not, may they hate my body and what belongs to it. Therefore, let go attachment to being well-liked or welcomed if the price be ethical erosion. Ignoble ease wins fleeting friends, but nobler paths summon self-respect and abiding allies in time. For living justly, plant seeds of solidarity and hope. Stay true, have heart, awakened souls will come one day to join your solitary stand. Lesson 11. Practice self-reliance. A Stoic would thrive in isolation. The ultimate Stoic test of emotional resilience is to face complete isolation with courage rather than despair. Because a master of self-reliance can turn any environment into a flowering garden with their presence. Stoics exercise this muscle by temporarily removing all distraction and company to confront themselves directly.
No small talk, no news, no petty tasks to busy restless minds, just hours alone with nature and introspection. Here, one must look within and ask the piercing questions quietly avoided in society's den. How aligned am I living by my highest values moment to moment? Do my daily choices arise from wisdom or fear? How can I strengthen my character and contribution beyond passing pleasures? Such skillful solitude develops inner solidity no outer turmoil can erode. For if you know your own deepest mind, trusting its compass implicitly, you walk with faith independent of others' presence. You grow unshaken by external exclusion, no longer seeking swaths of acquaintances to assuage internal unease. And from this place of wholeness, you are free to connect or separate serenely as life unfolds. Wanting nothing, regretting nothing, self-sufficient yet non-attached. The Stoic promise is clear: those who befriend themselves can never be abandoned. Face the wilderness within, and paradise shall always surround you. Thrive gloriously alone today, and togetherness will no longer seem so overdue. For in oneness, we are never truly isolated again. True friends are rare. Focus on self-mastery. With wisdom, relationships can come in time. We arrive full circle back to the Stoic view on friendship. It is life's greatest jewel, but also exceptionally precious and improbable to manifest. Most relations will only skim surfaces, never anchoring into the harbors of our most vulnerable longings and complexities. Yet that is why the Stoics would have us cease pining fruitlessly for ideal companions now to complete us. For nothing sabotages intimate bonds more than desperation, attachment, or unmet expectations placed upon fallible humans. Instead, they advise something deeply counterintuitive: forget looking for friends completely. Dive wholly into befriending yourself instead. Master the terrain of your inner landscape through radical self-care, insight practices, and continuous ethical growth. Become steady first in your own shoes, at home in your unique gifts and quirky flaws. Establish a foundation of wholeness from within, uncheckable by external conditions. Then, and only then, are you truly available to offer and receive the sublime gift of friendship. Over a lifetime, from completeness emerges the patience to let compatible souls organically cross your path. You cultivate wisdom to seek those who meet you as an equal. Once rested in your wholeness, you will find the spaces in your days open up to colorful, meaningful encounters with humanity everywhere. And maybe, just maybe, the fortune of true friendship will find you one day. Be ready to receive it fully when it comes. But in the meanwhile, don't wait for friendship to master yourself first and foremost. I hope these Stoic insights have sparked self-reflection on the bonds you currently share with others. Perhaps they have even awoken inspiration to nurture your existing connections with more presence and courage. But words mean little without action. So before we part ways today, identify at least one concrete next step you can take from here to cultivate the quality companionship you seek. Write it down and commit fully. The step need not be grand or dramatic at first. As you build momentum, maybe you'll reach out to an old friend who crossed your mind while watching this video. Ask them out properly, not just liking posts from a distance. Or you'll have a bold, vulnerable chat with a colleague you've always wanted to understand better. Start smaller by naming one new social habit to incorporate in routine activities, such as chatting briefly with one new person at the gym each week, or asking thoughtful questions when acquaintances mention challenges, rather than just saying, "that sucks." Tiny seeds of rapport to sprout in time. Choose something authentic and achievable for you. Incremental progress sustains motivation better than dramatic gestures prone to failure. Start where you are, persist with patience, and let bonds blossom organically. Then, share your next step in the comments. Public accountability helps motivation, and we can encourage each other. Small, consistent actions today become great friendships tomorrow. Go create meaningful connections step by step. Hit that subscribe button. Your presence and engagement are what make our channel thrive. Keep watching, keep learning, and keep growing. Thank you